Welcome to the latest edition of the TMuscle radio show. You're here again with Rab the Classic Craig and Brian the Heart Harris. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing well.
Excellent. This edition we have an interview with Barny Super Freak Du Plessis, and he's going to give us a bit on his current prep for the Brits and how his off seasons have went in the past and what you can expect to see from him this year. We have an interview fresh from the NABA circuit with Sarah Hallett. She just placed 4th at the Worlds and 2nd, I believe, at the Brits.
Yep.
So, on a streak of success at the moment, and a lot of good information from her. And last but not least, we have begun our rampage on UK supplement stores with some obscure complaint phone calls. So you're going to hear a bit of that later. Brian phoned up one of our local supplement stores earlier, very dissed, very angry at his son buying steroid shakes, so that's one to listen out for. So before we go to our first interview, we have a bit of a congratulations for Anthony Bales, who's just won NABA Worlds, overall winner, and that's just also off the back of winning the NABA Brits. He's in a bit of a streak of success.
Absolutely is. It's a phenomenal result. It takes him in a place where he's going into the universe with a lot of momentum behind him. It'll be interesting to hear his thoughts and how he's going to go forward with that, if we can get a hold of him for an interview. Hint, Anthony.
Yeah, get back to you as soon as you can, mate.
But also be nice to see speculations out there. Is he going to switch over to the UKBFF and maybe chase that pro card? Hopefully we'll find out these details when we speak to the man himself.
Hopefully. One thing I did notice was that his condition was improved again. Looking at for the front in particular, the quad separation was literally right up to the tie-ins. Every single tie-in in his quad was just crisp.
Mm-hmm. Really popping.
Yep. So a huge congratulations to Anthony, and hopefully we'll be able to get an interview with the man very shortly. So first up, we have an interview with Barny Super Freak Du Plessis, and he's going to give us a bit on his current condition, his current weight, and what you can expect from him this year. So have a listen and see what you think.
Hello, Barny.
Hello, Rab.
How are you, man?
Not too bad, thanks.
Thanks very much for taking the time to speak to me.
Yeah, no problem.
How's things going today? From what I understand, you've got your own gym in Swindon?
Yeah, that's right. It's called Phoenix Gym. We've been running for about a year now. Me and my partner Josie both work there every day of the week.
7 days? 7 days?
Yeah, 7 days a week. Yeah, we've had one day off this year. That was Christmas Day.
God.
So, they're long days, 8:30 till 9 o'clock at night.
So is this a recent venture for you and your partner? Is it? And how's it going?
It's good. The business has been it's independent, so and Swindon's full of gyms. I suppose 15, maybe 20 sort of gyms in Swindon. Obviously, all the big name gyms are in Swindon as well. So our kind of obviously focus is obviously bodybuilding, hardcore gym, and so the people who come to our gym know what to expect.
Yeah.
So we're definitely a niche market, but we are very clean. And we obviously maintain the machines 100%. Everything's working perfectly, all looks nice and tidy, and a very good atmosphere as well. So we've got no meatheads or sort of attitude. It's all kind of, everyone's friendly, and Josie obviously working there as well. Gives the ladies who potentially would normally think it's just a men-only gym.
Yeah.
There's obviously a female there as well, and they feel comfortable. So it's a really good atmosphere, and we play obviously good hard music, the stuff we like to play, and yeah, it's great, it's good fun.
That's good. I'm glad it's going well for you, mate. A few questions, if you don't mind me asking you.
Yeah, no problem.
One of the kind of things that did it for me was when I seen you at the Brits.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2010 when I was there, and I believe that was you placed 2nd.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I've never seen any condition like it in my life. It was just insane.
Hey, that's the thing.
and you know the thing is as well, I mean, everybody looks very different off season compared to in diet, but you are like a different person altogether. I didn't even fucking recognise you in your YouTube. in your YouTube videos.
Yeah, well, I suppose to me, I look at the both, and that's me, obviously, but someone who wouldn't ever see me apart from on competition, which obviously is a majority of the bodybuilding fraternity in the UK, they won't know me in my personal life, so they'd only see me on stage. That's all you can associate with the person, that look.
I mean, I can definitely say I'd walk past you. Obviously, if I wouldn't for your size, I would definitely just walk past you in the street. Although I've seen a million pictures of you. How's things going for you at the moment? I mean,
well, okay. Tell you what. I mean, obviously, 2010. Was it 2008? I think it was. That was my most ripped ever. I had to. I was really. But basically, what it was, about 6 weeks out from the show, I was struggling to make the weight. And I was about 95 or something, 96 kilos. I couldn't drop the carbs any lower, and I couldn't do any more cardio if I tried. I was sort of maxed out, so I had to kind of look at it a different way. So I decided to do a ketogenic diet. Actually, Josie, my loving partner, found a lot of information about this particular way of dieting. It's not dissimilar to the way I used to diet when I very first started training, competing. But it was more scientific, and it had, obviously, it's all to do with fats and sort of protein ratios and things. Anyway, so we tried it out, we tailored it to suit, obviously, the requirements that I needed, and I came in really, really ripped. Sean Tavernier beat me. He was right at the very bottom end of the light heavy class. That was that year. It was not heavy, so that was before they had the heavyweight class, 100, 200. So I had to kind of I thought to myself, it made sense to come at the top end of the light heavies, obviously, then the bottom end of the heavies, which is at the time was the super heavies. So,
I mean, touching on the ketogenic stuff, have you ever been back to that, or have you always? I mean, from what I understand, we've been looking at some of your YouTube stuff. You're in a shitload of food. So, sure.
Okay.
So,
that's interesting because the thing is, I'd say I'm pretty much the master of my kind of physique at the moment. My body. I know exactly what to do. Carbs, proteins, and fats. It's the first. Well, it's actually been like this for the last few years now. It's not rubbing cocky or anything. It's just that over sort of I've been training now for 18, 19 years. Competed for quite a few, and you kind of start to learn about obviously your body and how it responds to food. Now the thing is, I mean, the ketogenic diet worked for that purpose, and it made me look very, very shredded. But the problem is, I look flat. Okay. Yes. Then 2009, I came back and looked fuller because I was on a normal carb diet, but I didn't have the same condition. So I came back in 2010, as I was coming to a minute ago, when I thought, well, I can't be Howard on thighs because he's huge and he's awesome physique. But I could possibly have him on condition because I know that he doesn't, in the past he hasn't got that ripped. So, that was my game plan. So it kind of worked. But it allows keto as well. But tell you what, it was, honestly, I must have visited the gates of hell more than anyone I could ever. Honestly, every day I thought I was going to die. And that was for about a month. I used to wake up in a lucid sort of trance state and say, I tell Josie that if I die that night, then I love her very much, obviously, and obviously that's the way it is. But that's a whole
new level of suffering. I mean,
I was out of my head really, to be honest, for ages. I'm a personal trainer. My clients understood, and they were very patient. But I wasn't grumpy. You only get grumpy when you're low carbohydrates, but the ketogenic diet is a kind of different way of doing things. And obviously, I could train right up until pretty strong as well. But my whole kind of my fat levels were very, very low. I was putting up about 1%, 2% body fat, and I was just sort of running on vapors, to be honest. So I felt kind of.
So just to kind of butt a knife out here. In 2010, you kind of went back to the ketogenic diet.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so was that for the whole diet, or did you start in carbs and then kind of finish off to get that last bit off, go zero carbs?
I started out 12 weeks out on the keto. Okay, but I started
12 weeks in the keto.
Yeah, but then I continued the ketogenic diet through to the Grand Prix. I was on the keto diet for pretty much half a year.
God, alright, okay.
And that was the problem is when you run something so extreme for such a long time, your body becomes very sensitive.
Yes.
And I was having a lot of issues with acid reflux, serious digestive problems as well. So when I put some carbs back in, from time to time, if they were kind of almost the wrong combination, I sort of like put too much fibre or something, my body would just bloat right up really quickly because it didn't have the sort of digestive capacity to deal with these things, you see. So,
one thing I would like to ask here is, at this point, do you feel that when you're on a ketogenic diet, and then just say you get very close to the show, of course you're going to be pretty flat, do you feel that because you've had no carbs, that when you reinsert them, maybe to have a bit of carb up, that then you've got issues at that point around water retention because your body just hasn't been used to the carbohydrates?
Okay, well, the water retention doesn't happen because the fat, I've got absolutely zero fat in my body. So the water retention, you don't actually get a spillover at all. That doesn't really happen. It's the choice of carbs is pretty essential when you carb up. I was doing pretty well for the Grand Prix for the first 2 days of my 3.5 day carb up. But the last day I kind of got a bit carried away and I put in, I don't know, some yogurt and some fruit or something, various other bits and pieces, which then fermented and caused a lot of bloating. But I was also had, I can't remember, even I think potato was causing me issues as well. Yeah, a sweet potato. I think it's to do with the pH balance in the they're quite alkaline.
Yeah, the alkaline, yeah.
Yeah, so I had obviously carved it up with potatoes and stuff. Creates obviously an imbalance in the stomach alkalinity as well.
Yeah.
So obviously with other things as well. So you had to kind of consider these things, and it kind of did backfire at the end. I did get the bloating, but the water retention doesn't happen. It's only if you as long as you load up with water days before, then obviously let things settle down. Maybe if the series is, for example, on the Sunday, as long as on the Saturday, obviously in the Friday, you ease back a bit, it should sort of settle down by then, really.
Okay.
But at the moment, okay, the 2011 was carbs. I came in on a carb diet, completely different to how I've ever done things before. I came in about 5,600 calories up to the show with carbs. And just a tiny bit of cardio, to be honest. My off-season diet was basically exactly the same as the pre-contest diet. All I did was up the cardio a little bit, drop the carbs a little bit, and obviously coast in on that respect. But my condition wasn't as hard and as gritty as 2008 and 2010. So that's kind of something to think about. But at the moment,
do you feel that you come in a much fuller, kind of more 3D look? Would you agree with that?
Well, that's what I was required. That's what they said. Well, you need to come in from what people have been and myself could see from the Howard scenario from 2010 is that I needed to be bigger, fuller, because I lost the fullness because obviously I was going keto. So I didn't. It's just the way. Obviously, that's the trade-off. Okay.
I think then at that point, because you come back in 2011, you come back much fuller, much rounder, bigger guy, but you're not in that Barny Du Plessis insane conditions. You think that maybe makes the judges think, oh, well, yeah,
definitely. That was something definitely. I think when I look at the footage, I couldn't understand. So I thought to myself, I was my best I've been so far. Okay, for the 2011. Yeah. Because it was bigger. I was about 96.5, 97 kilos. And my body fat was as good as it was 2000 and whatever. But it wasn't quite as crisp. But I thought obviously the fullness is the trade-off, so obviously that was what I was looking at there. But obviously they kind of judge you almost on your last showing. So you
think they've been judged on you in a way, because it's you're well known. You obviously stand out an awful lot. They've been judged on you and how you are known to look, because you're well known to be.
Well, that could be the case. I mean, I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, I spoke to a judge about it afterwards, and he reckons it's just the way the cookie crumbled in that day, because it was such a tight class. A lot of it's luck and where you stand, the lighting. The people can sort of change quite quickly from hour to hour, minute to minute on stage. So as they shuffle people around, things is kind of the sort of the whole kind of mathematics are changing. So I might have started out quite high and then started slipping down, which is kind of scratch. Because afterwards I was scratching my head thinking, what the hell happened there? I was my best ever, better than I was the year before, but I slipped down to 4th instead of 2nd. Took him up really, but you know. But
on the different years, I mean, have you had different people helping you with your prep? Have you? Where are you? Where were you last year? The year before? Where are you now?
Oh, right, okay. Well, the last. Up until actually last year was the first year I actually worked with someone, not with dieting, but with basic training, which was a new one to me because over years you kind of accumulated quite an encyclopedia of different training methods and systems and that sort of thing. And I went to see Dennis Christopher Sugar, who was one of the judges of the UK BFF. He suggested I come to see him at his gym. And he taught me some really good tips, and which I've put on my Road to Pro footage, which is on YouTube at the moment. Yeah. And there's some very useful information there. So I thought it'd be nice to share it with people because the stuff he was coming out with is basically really old school methods. But it's very relevant to this day because people tend to kind of cut too many corners and worry too much about weight and not the
people forget a lot of things as well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff as well, like for instance, one of the fellas in the forum, Dave Crosland, has showed me a few things that are taken back to old school. It's doing a bicep curl, make sure you bring it pinky and curl it in. Just these wee tiny old school tricks.
Oh, it makes me kill. It's a murder. When you do things properly, you know, you can't lift. You can lift basically, obviously, because you isolate each muscle group so much that they're not supported by any other muscle group. Yeah. You become weak in that particular area because by itself, independent muscles are actually particularly, quite weak in itself. Yeah. Obviously, combined with more of a compound scenario, they tend to gain their strength. But if we're trying to pull out each individual muscle and work it from literally end to end, insertion to origin, or vice versa, whatever, you have to kind of obviously work with the range of movement and obviously work on really tweaking the exercise so much that it's agony to do, but very little weight, so it's actually really demoralising to see.
But do you think for where you are, obviously having a good amount of muscle and making these extra wee tweaks, what do you think it's adding to your physique? What do you think it's changing? Do you think it's kind of bringing it a bit more quality, or what do you think is going to be different about Barny?
Yeah, well, this is why Sugar wanted me to work with these things, because he sees the physique, which is the way it is basically. It just makes a lot of sense. Is a three-dimensional thing. When you're standing on stage, the thing is, bodybuilding is quite linear in the movements. But when you're on stage, everything has, no matter where you stand, things have to kind of pop out and have to have a nice rounded appearance, and everything should be full and sticking out. And certain movements will neglect, but we work in multi-functions, multi-planes of movement. So you have to kind of have all these different areas of the body when you're on display, sort of showing all the muscles. So having that in mind, when I'm training now, I tend to pay attention to the entirety of the movement as opposed to just sort of concentrate on the weight and obviously trying to get the exercise done itself. Just trying to actually work in the full range of movement as much as I can. We're lifting obviously the heavier weights as I could possibly do within that movement, and then obviously the range of movement I'm doing. So
that's brilliant, mate. That's exactly what a lot of people in the forum would like to hear. There's been a lot of discussion along those kind of lines.
It gives you a much more fuller, rounded physique. When Dorian Yates employed full range of movement, good quality sets of reps, he had a very nice, obviously overall balanced physique. If you miss out movements or you just try and lift for the heavy sake of it, the more basic the training becomes, the more basic the look. So it's you kind of obviously the body's very complex ultimately. So you want to look like everything's kind of taken care of and it's all popping out, and so visually it looks very pleasing to look at. It's quite complicated in itself. Yeah. All the muscles are coming out, every single little muscle group, insertion, origin, all the striations are there, nice and full.
Yeah, getting back a touch to your approach to diet and into your contest. One thing that it seems to be you're known for is your cheat meals. And would it be fair to say that you have some pretty epic cheat meals, or is that just a bit of forum
Okay, well, all right. Okay, I did that. I wanted to record it because I'm going to put it. People get too concerned. They get too worried about, I shouldn't have a cheat meal now. Let's put it 8 weeks out or something ridiculous like that. Otherwise, it's going to destroy everything. It won't. Nothing will happen. The only thing it will do is actually benefit the physique. If you start coming down too hard on the body, as soon as the body feels compromised in any direction, it will shut down.
Yeah.
So you have to allow it to have what it needs. Okay, obviously, a binge day is obviously excessive, but that's kind of almost the purpose of it in itself. By having excessive, by limiting my process is by actually giving it more than it actually wants. It obviously speeds up the metabolism, and it's going to be less likely to store fat. If you and it would anyway in a day, it doesn't happen that way. But if you had half the amount of food, or maybe less than that, still trying to be sort of strict, but give yourself a few treats in that. You're kind of doing nothing, so you're not getting quite what you really want to get from the food that you're trying to get, because obviously your body's semi-starved at that point.
Yes.
And so when it does come in, it's going to go, right, we'll store that. So what you want to do is flood it, pretty much, and just give it everything and more, which obviously in turn will fire the metabolism so high, it'll just melt off pretty much straight away anyway. Plus you have more energy to train, and it gets out. So it's got many benefits. So
what are we talking here? I mean, a lot of people, like for instance, I've dieted before myself, and I've had like a full day, or I've maybe had half days. I've also had like maybe just a window or 2 hours where I just go for it. So what do you do to get that flood in? Do you just have like a window, or do you have a full day off? What do you do?
It depends what it is. It depends how much carbs I've had in my system for that week, and how depleted I am. If obviously towards the show, if I'm running a keto, then I want to go mental, okay? If I'm running a carb diet, obviously my metabolism isn't, my glycogen levels aren't that low. So I wouldn't need to have the huge amounts. So I'd probably go for more of maybe what we call a power hour, where we just basically, rather than having a meal, I can't do that for me. I need to go all or nothing at all. I find it very difficult just to draw the line at one meal, because what is a meal? Who knows how much a meal is? It's like, if I have a meal, I can have a roast, and I can have obviously have my dessert, crumble, for example. Then I have maybe ice cream on top of that, and a chocolate bar just to finish it off. That's not a meal. That's kind of almost a mini binge in itself. So, where do you say a meal? So, where else is it? Just give myself 1 hour, or say 2 hours, normally 2 hours, and literally just eat as much as I can to the point I just don't want to eat anymore. And that's it, really, after that. That's how I do it if my sort of metabolism, if I'm saying, I don't know, 6 weeks out, 4 weeks out, just as a way of a quick boost, a quick spin on the wheel of the metabolism.
I noticed in your YouTube videos, what you do is you've got a lot of gluten and wheat-free type foods. So you've got your rice for breakfast, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so how do you find that your cheat meal affects, especially when you're obviously going to have maybe some pasta and some bread and shit like that? Does that not cause absolute carnage in your guts?
It does and it doesn't. Obviously, I'm not actually. I don't consider myself to be gluten intolerant and wheat intolerant. Josie, my partner, is. So she's all forever trying to get me to eat the gluten-free stuff, because she knows it. For her, it causes a lot of problems. So, but and all the good food is full of wheat and gluten. All the crap stuff is gluten-free. It's just horrible. This is like cardboard. And you don't really get the kind of the hit that you want from just gluten-free stuff. But towards the show, when I'm taking things seriously, which I do, I don't just have mad binges all the time. They are very controlled. They're done for a reason. But towards the show, I'll definitely, these days, I would steer heavily in the direction of gluten-free carbs.
Yeah. Do you feel that just helps just get your waist that bit tighter?
Yeah, definitely. That's the reason why. Because I have an issue at the moment with distension. People accuse me of having a GH gut, but that's bullshit. It's not. I can't afford it for a start. So it's definitely not from that. It's
what, sorry?
A GH gut. It's been said a few times. Oh, you got a GH gut? Well, I haven't. That's straight, because I can't afford GH. So basically that's it. So my distension of the gut, if it ever does come through, which it has done when, say for example, you watch the footage of the posing up until the show, just as like a montage I put together. it does stick out, but that's because it's done in the morning after breakfast when my stomach's full anyway.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm not concerned about my stomach being too tight yet because obviously I'm not on the show. But the on the show is when it really does count, and sometimes it has had a few issues, and that's because in the past I've had the wrong carbohydrates going. So you have to be quite specific of what carbs go in, and certain carbs obviously cause more problems, and definitely wheat or gluten is major problems for distension of the stomach.
Would you say as well that, especially obviously with your diet leading up to the show being very, very clean in terms of having no gluten and no wheat?
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I'm very much the same myself, and I found that when I was carbing up to get those carbs in, I was using the wrong carbs, and I ended up putting those in. It causes an absolute nightmare. It causes that distension.
Bloating, you just feel full and you haven't eaten anything particular. It's loads of issues with it. And it doesn't tend to go down very quickly either, that's the problem. And it swells the stomach, which obviously you're trying to get a super tight midsection, anything that kind of swells the stomach. And at this point, obviously maybe 4 weeks out, your body's hypersensitive because you're so clean, with the food that's going in. So, you've got to be kind of careful what you put in. And I think a lot of people are different to the way they do things. But the safest method, it won't cause any problems for anyone, is to go gluten-free.
Yeah, so I mean, have you got any other kind of tips and tricks that you use to get that tight midsection leading up to the shows, or anything else in particular that you do other than the gluten and wheat-free?
Well, I haven't. That's the problem. I haven't actually had the tight midsection yet for the last few years because of one thing and another for digestive issues. And but what I'm doing at the moment is one of the things in my homework that I have been doing, which I needed to do to pull my stomach in a lot tighter, is I'm doing a lot of transverse abdominal work, interior abdominal exercises. I'm doing like sort of plank work and sort of various sort of crunches techniques which are kind of hanging off a bench, where my back's not supported, so I have to use a lot of interior tissue to, muscles to sort of support my torso. Okay. Get that nice and tight. That's the idea. So. But this off-season this year, it's been it's been the biggest one I've had so far. I haven't had an off-season, a good one, for the last 3 or 4 years. I've been working with Gary.
That's exactly leading on to how I would like to kind of go next. What is your off-season? Right. What to cause you to bring to the stage for this year? What can we expect to see from you this year? Okay. And also on that note, what do you hope to achieve?
Well, this is the thing. This is where things are going to go. Things are going to change a lot this year. Okay, put it this way. For the last, I don't know if people kind of ever sort of watch back on or remember back on the different shows that we do. Every year I come with a different kind of package and a different looks. I'm always trying to meet the requirements. Obviously, what they've said that for that year. It kind of hasn't really worked for me in some ways. So this year, I've been working with a chap called Gary Howell I'm sponsored by Team Biohazard, and he's got a very specific. He's my coach this year, my diet coach as well. Okay, my training coach I'm doing for myself, but diet-wise, off-season we decided to work on a certain amount, which I'll come to in a minute. But the show is going to unveil a completely different me this year. I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going to happen, but it's going to be different.
Okay, so we're just going to have to hang tight and just wait to see. But so you're going to what you're saying is you're going to keep it under wraps for now.
I'm 120 kilos at the moment. Okay.
20 kilos.
I'm 5'7", 120 kilos. I'm 19 stone at the moment. So.
And what kind of condition would you say you're in at the moment?
Okay, 2 weeks ago when I was 117, I still had just faint striations in my glutes and my abs were through still. So, okay, I'm starting to get a bit swollen in the guts.
So 107 kilos, you're telling us that you've got some faint striations in your glutes and abs.
Yeah, and 120 now. Okay, basically the trade-off has been this. Okay, when we started our process of the mass off-season cycle, if you like. I was about 10% at 102 kilos. I bumped me up to 117, and I must have put on about 3 or 4 kilos of fat in that entire time. So I'd say the trade-off has been worth it, really. So I'm 120 now. I put about 5 kilos maximum of fat, so I've had 15 kilos of tissue, basically, of mass, which should be, I'll hopefully keep hold of up to the show.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. I'm sure people are going to be keen to see what you're going to bring. So
I haven't got a clue either. I haven't got a clue. Gary thinks he said confident in delivering something kind of different and special. So hopefully it'll be awesome. That's the idea. I mean, I've put my trust 100% in Gary this year. I've never done this before. Josie and I have always worked together. Okay, no one else has actually helped. Apart from Dennis, because we're on the training side of things. But diet-wise, it's just me every year. So this is kind of going to be new grounds for me. So it should be interesting. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing how you look, and I'll be at Manchester. Hopefully I'll catch up with you there, and I'll be cheering for you, because as I say, I've always been a fan of your physique. And nice one, thank you, Robert. And thanks very much as well for taking the time to talk to us, and also for posting the forum. That's a pleasure, no problem at all. I appreciate I'm glad that you invited me along. So, cheers, Rob. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. Yeah, bye.
So, mate, what do you reckon about that interview with talking about his keto, and one thing for me was the GH gut?
It was good to hear that being addressed. It's one of the folklore myths of bodybuilding.
It's something that's talked about in the forums all the time.
Yep. It's, as I've speculated myself for years, no such thing. It's simply down to the sheer volume of food these guys have got to put away. Yep. People don't seem to comprehend the amount of actual solid food that taking in 5,000 to 6,000 calories is going to...
Well, I mean, they did say that he was eating 5,500 calories right up to the show last year in 2011.
It's hard enough eating 3,000 calories, 4,000 calories, but to be eating that, unbelievable.
So what do you make about what he's saying about pulling on your weight with the gluten-free? Do you think that's something that maybe it's worth taking on board? We found that with myself. You did when you were prepping me.
I think so. I think many people have slight intolerances. They may not be just as striking as maybe in some people with extreme intolerances, but it certainly seems to have an effect. As we said, with like yourself, we noticed that had an effect.
So Barney was saying that he's working with a fella, Dennis Christopher, who I've also been informed as Alvin Small's guy for training. It seems to be a lot of these guys now that they're going back to kind of old school ways, and they're doing a lot of kind of angle work and a lot of volume and hitting things for different kind of directions.
It's quite interesting because it shows you this kind of cyclical way that bodybuilding's turning in, doesn't it? Because obviously for the last maybe decade plus, it's been heavy weights, low reps, the kind of heavy duty style of training that's been predominantly followed. But certainly these days, with the likes of FST7 on the scene, the Y3T, all these different techniques,
DC training as well.
Absolutely. Volume along with the weight seems to be coming back in there, and
would you say it's just one of these things that goes in circles? It's a bit kind of fashion, or do you think it's?
I think so. I think it's a bit of a trend, to be honest. These things are essentially regurgitated for years ago. The Weider principles. Yep. FST7, essentially is a version of that. And then it's these things. I think as time goes on they evolve. It's slight improvements are made to the principles, and then with advances in nutrition applied to that, this is essentially why we're seeing the changes.
What do you think though along the lines of, I mean, obviously for people like Barney and people like Alvin Small that have got a ton of muscle, and they're only looking, maybe not necessarily looking only to just refine, but obviously want to grow as well.
But those extra bits of detail.
Yeah. Do you think it's more one of those things? At advanced stages, you're going to get more from it. Whereas if you're maybe like for the younger guys listening that are maybe want to start out that are 10 stone soaking wet, is it one of those things that maybe better with the heavy stuff? And then
I think there's a double-edged sword there. I think for the younger guys, it's obviously going to be nothing but a good thing. Obviously, if they're taking these principles and adapting them to themselves over the years, because you could argue the fact that then if they've took them on board at the beginning of their journey, is it then going to create an even more exaggerated version of what these guys are now trying to, instigating their physiques? That being said, there's nothing worse like good old-fashioned, heavy weights, persistent training, plenty of rest, yada yada. It's definitely. I think there's a place for both. To be honest, I think it's one of these things. There's no right or wrong way, you know. Yeah. But certainly with the guys at this level, at the very top end of the sport, it's going to make that bit more of a difference. It's going to make them stand out because I mean, let's look at the top lineups in these scenes these days. You know, the guys are phenomenal. You know, it's hard to. I wouldn't like to be a judge at many of the shows.
Yeah. So do you reckon that's one thing that could maybe tempt you in the future when he's talking about separating yourself at shows? Barney was explaining why in 2010 he went for the keto look because he knew he couldn't take on Heraldus for size. He went for keto. He went flat, but oh my God, we seen him backstage. We were both backstage there, and we seen the guy. It's just insane.
The detail that was hanging off the guy when you were maybe 6 feet from him. As everybody knows well, you know, this is very much an illusion game, the bodybuilding. It's usually not until they go under the stage lights. You're sitting in the audience and everything comes to life. That's when the magic happens. This guy, we watched him wandering about, pumping up backstage. And we're in amongst behemoths like Harold Ass, who was incredible looking, and all the rest of it. But he was a 3D chart wandering about.
In terms of, I mean, I don't know. Everybody seems to have a lot of people with different opinions on who should have won, and I don't have any particular strong opinion either way. But I mean, in terms of condition, Heraldus could not hold a candle to him.
Absolutely not. No, he made Heraldus look off. That's the bottom line. He really did. Everybody's going to argue it was apples and oranges that year. You know, at the end of the day, you know, yes, well, Heraldus he was huge and he was full. Yes, you know, maybe 10% less condition than what Barney was. Barney's no small guy, you know, and standing there beside him. And you know, definitely he embarrassed him as far as condition goes.
What's going to be interesting going forward though is what he's saying. I mean, he's made some bold statements in front of everybody. He's saying he's 117 kilo.
Well, you could speculate, you know, with that added weight, you know, if he's in the condition that he's saying he's in, which is no reason to doubt the man. Where is he going to end up at this year's?
Looks to me like Barney is headed for the super heavyweights,
which is going to be a sight to behold.
So do you reckon that the man's kind of going to hit the super heavyweights and going to try and do a Cecil Crosdale?
Well,
do you think he has what it takes to get the next pro card?
Absolutely think he's got what it takes to do that, yeah. And if he has put this kind of amount of tissue on, I mean, let's face it, he said, you know, he was around about the 96, 97 kilos mark, in very good condition last year. If we can pull that off, or better condition with that extra, say, 10 kilos, for example, and that's going to be incredible. He's only 5'7". You know, I mean, Cecil Crosdale's basically the same height. He was just into the super heavies class, for what I understand, that year. So you're potentially talking about an even bigger package than that. Yes, you know, there's differences in the physique, but essentially, I wouldn't be surprised to see the same thing go again. If he turns up in top nick in the way Barney knows how, with that extra tissue in his frame, it's going to be a sight. But I would see him hard pushed in the super heavies.
Okay, so
hard.
At the moment, is he your tip for the pro card? For what we've heard, obviously we've got other people to hear from, hopefully in the coming weeks.
Certainly, on the face of it right now, as it stands, I would say so. I would say so.
Right, okay, we'll leave it at that. Next up, we have Sarah Hallett, and she gives us a bit of discussion on her prep, and also we found out that Sarah is a firefighter, which
has to be a juggle.
Must be, mate, must be. So take a listen at the interview and see what you think.
Hello.
Hi, is that Brian?
That's Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Thanks for giving us the interview for TMuscle, and we'll just put together a few questions to ask you, and we'll just take it from there, if that's okay with you.
Yeah. Absolutely, sure. It's a pleasure to help out, to be honest.
Thanks very much. Well, could you tell us a wee bit about your competition history?
Yeah, sure. I first started competing in 2008 with NABBA. I did the NABBA trained figure in Wales, but I weighed about 7 stone 12 back then. So obviously, although I did qualify for the British final, I neglected to go because the girl was obviously a lot bigger than me at the time. And I prepped myself for that one and decided from there that obviously I needed a coach, which I then got. But I was talked into switching over to UK BFF Body Fitness because obviously you can go pro status. So I stuck with them then for the rest of 2008, 2009, 2010, and actually 2011, and kept getting marked down every time for being too lean, too muscular, and I got sick of that and thought, what am I doing, wasting my time here? And thought, right, I'm going back to NABA trained, because that's obviously going to suit me more.
Yep.
So I went. I got to the British final of UKBFF in October last year. Didn't make the top 10 because once again I was too hard, and just went for it then, and just really enjoyed training how I wanted to. Obviously, I've got a coach who's fantastic, Nathan Harmon of Pro Bodies. I've worked with him now for 2 years. He's brilliant, nutrition, training, fantastic with everything. We put on, 10 pounds of muscle in 6 months, and
fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you think he made a significant change in how you approach your prep, and from the point he was brought in? Do you think that's when big changes started to happen?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, with UKBFF, I had to be careful not to put on too much muscle, and we, had to train differently for that. Whereas when I knew that I could put on the muscle and train how we wanted to, obviously, we trained heavier, slightly different techniques. Obviously, a lot more food involved. But it was, it made a massive difference. But I also really enjoyed it, and to have achieved what I've done in the last sort of 7 months, I'm over the moon, absolutely over the moon, and can't wait to improve and come back next year.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask you. It's interesting that you touched on the point about, getting marked down in body fitness. Obviously, This is quite a hot topic amongst the girls. I'd say probably across NABA as well, for toned figure, and particularly body fitness in the UKBFF. Would you agree there's a bit of a judging inconsistency across there?
There's an absolute huge judging inconsistency.
It seems like a nightmare, a bit of a minefield for the girls.
Yeah, honestly, the thing is, and I will honestly say, nobody knows what they want, and the look changes. If you look back at the winner of the British UKBFF Body Fitness the last 5 years, every single year it has been a completely different look. And when they introduced the bikini class, everyone thought, well, great, that would mean body fitness could be, a little bit more muscular. But they just come in, they keep wanting them to come in softer and softer and softer, and I completely don't see the point in that. That's not figure. That's, like I said, why bother training all those hours in the gym when you have to soften up to come in for a competition? Absolutely. And I think it's quite hard with toned as well. I mean, only sort of having just come back into NABA, but I watched the tone classes very interestedly as well, and I can see that there could easily, they need to say, well, I guess it's hard though to draw the line between toned and trained, because when we were at the Worlds, actually, there were 2 girls who were taken out of the toned class and told to come into the trained class. So I guess they're trying to sort of get some sort of consistency there, but it's definitely a hard one.
It does seem a shame for a lot of the girls, because obviously it's a bit like training in the dark, what's your ultimate end goal. And certainly up and down the country as well, you go to different regions, and it seems as if it's different looks that are winning different shows, even though ultimately they're all going to the same final. So it's as if, it's something that needs to be addressed across the board, you would imagine, so that, the girls can get back to enjoying their training for what it is that they're actually supposed to be training for.
Exactly, and know what look they're expected to bring in. That would be the biggest thing. If they were given a fairly strict criteria about how, this is what we want, then I think it would make it a lot easier for them, which I think is where I'm quite lucky now. With trained figure, the criteria it is quite, I wouldn't say strict, but it's well explained, and luckily if you've got the genetics, you kind of can't go wrong, really. So
what are your future plans now after this streak that you've just come off?
Yeah, well, I have qualified for the Universe. However, having just done 3 sort of competitions in 6 weeks, I finished finish the Worlds completely exhausted, and I want to come back better, so I'm going to sit the universe out this year. I'm going to do the NABBA British Finals next year, and then hopefully win that is my goal, and then go on and compete in the universe then at the end of next year against, because there's a big difference between the UK and the World Girls, and it's, it was really good to see that in such a short space of time. Yeah, but I mean, in fairness, the girl who won the Worlds was from Northern Ireland anyway, so fantastic. But, and the girl that got second was from the UK as well. It was only the girl that got third that was from Russia. So normally, the Russian girls tend to dominate. But, we'll see. I'm super motivated, so all I can say is look out.
Excellent. It'll be exciting to see what you bring. What about, how long was your actual prep there?
Gosh, okay, well, the NABBA Wales was my first show on the 13th of May, and we started prep 14 weeks prior to that. So we managed to, get a certain look for that. Then I had 3 weeks from the Welsh to the British, where I managed to put on a little bit of muscle there. And then I had 2 weeks from the British to the Worlds, where we kind of tried to maintain it. So it obviously got quite difficult towards the end. It's much easier. Your first prep is the easiest one, I think, because you know what you want to go for, you know how much you want to lose, you know what you want to look like, but then to try and maintain and keep going or better yourself slightly is...
Battle with your own mind at that point as well, I would say, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I just honestly, the last week before the Worlds, I'd had enough. I was like, I'm over this, seriously over this now. I'm not doing it. I had enough.
So many times you hear everybody say the same thing.
Yeah, but you push on, and it's so worth it. And then you look back at the experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world, even though I did spend a week virtually in bed after the Worlds sleeping. I was so exhausted, but bounced back after that, and then look back on the experience, and it was fantastic. And I think just competing with the girls in the world, or the top girls in the UK, it's nice to be around other like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand you're a firefighter as well.
Yes.
And how did that, that must have been difficult to fit in around, shift work and, the type of job it is along with prep. I mean, that has to be a juggle, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was. To be honest, I saved up all my holidays and I took 4 weeks holiday off, which covered the British and the Worlds, but coming up to just before I went off on holiday, I was... I did struggle at work because obviously I lost quite a bit of strength, and I was aware that, my job obviously is very important. So the boys are fantastic though. My watch is such a good watch, and they put me kind of on the easier jobs, as it were, and they sort of pitched in a bit more for me when we were in situations. I obviously wouldn't want to risk anybody's life for comp prep, so... That was good.
Excellent. I think quite a lot of the girls would probably be interested in hearing as well. What kind of shape do you stay in year round? Do you stay within kind of striking distance? Because you say it was a 14-week prep you did initially, so that I take it you stay, fairly lean.
Yes, I always try and stay lean-ish, only because I struggle losing the body fat at the end of it. So I learned the hard way the first time. Like in 2009, I put on 2 stone in the off season, and getting that off was a nightmare. So I won't let myself go over. I'll always put on about a stone, because you can't build proper muscle unless you're prepared to put on a bit of fat and to let yourself go a little bit. So I'll let myself go like a stone max. But, kind of nothing over that. But then, that's enough really. I guess the more muscle you put on, the heavier that you can get, and then sort of the more leeway you've got with yourself there as well.
Absolutely.
But, in saying that, when I had the week off after the comp, after the Worlds, I put on 10 pounds in a week. Just because you just you just can't help it. You want to eat everything in sight, even things that you don't even like, and then you do that, you get it out of the way, and then you get on with it again. So
looking yourself basically, don't you?
Yeah, you've got to have a little bit of normality in life sometimes, just to bring you back down.
Especially after a run of prep like that, you've got to have a bit of normal life back, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you do like cardio year round, or how many days a week do you do?
I do cardio year round. I like keeping fit for my job as well and myself. And I'll do, probably 5 days a week, an hour a day, on a normal day. That's just part of my day. Obviously, come comp prep, then it gets up to, 2 hours a day, sometimes 2.5, depending on, where we're at the time, how much fat we need to lose and things like that. But
you just feel like a hamster on the wheel.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, I was like a hamster come the last couple of weeks. But luckily for me, I actually really enjoy cardio, and I've come from, prior to bodybuilding, I used to actually run half marathons.
I was going to ask that. I saw some pictures of you looking, the marathons there. How long did you do that for?
I did that for about 5 years prior to proper. Like, I always trained weights then as well, but I never sort of, it was always just, now and then to keep a bit of shape. But my running was always my focus, and I loved my running. But obviously once I switched and started training weights properly, I got as much buzz out of that as I used to get out of running. So, but I still enjoy the cardio.
What made you make the transition over for that? Because that's quite interesting. You do hear often of a lot of people in other sports, and eventually, they found their way to bodybuilding through that, or ever become injured.
Yeah. Well, what we did was I'd entered the Firefighter Games in 2007 in the half marathon. I'd gone to the Firefighter Games and went to watch the bodybuilding because I've always been interested in it. And when I saw the girl on stage competing, I thought, oh my God, I could have got up and beaten you, like now, in this shape. So I thought, right, next year, which was 2008, there was another Firefighter Games coming up in Liverpool. So I thought, right, I'm going to enter the bodybuilding in that. And when I realised you had to be part of NABBA, I clicked on the website, and there was the NABBA Wales, which was 6 weeks away. So I thought, oh, there we are. This will be a good experience. I'm just going to enter this show. Jump in head first, haven't got a clue what I'm doing, and just, go for it. And that's what I did. And I absolutely loved it. I was hooked straight away. So that's when I decided that I wanted to take the bodybuilding.
What I was also going to ask you a wee bit about your nutrition, I suppose, both prep-wise and off-season-wise. I mean, do you restrict yourself through the week? Do you still keep things fairly clean in the off-season?
Yeah, we do. Luckily for me, I've always eaten clean, and I enjoy eating clean. I don't enjoy eating crap whatsoever, which is good. But in the off-season, I will have at least 2 or 3 treat meals a week. That is, I think you need to have a bit of variety. You need to sort of get your metabolism going. But, clean food's great anyway. And obviously, I eat a lot of protein because I'm, trying to build muscles. So,
what kind of level do you have your protein at? I mean, what's your competition weight versus what sort of protein intake you have?
Yeah, okay. Well, my competition weight for NABBA trained was 10 stone. and I tend to have about 350 grams of protein a day.
That's very high, isn't it?
Yeah, it is fairly high, but then that's spread out over 7 or 8 meals, so it's not too bad.
Are you a big eater? Do you find it hard, getting everything in?
No, not at all. I love food. to be honest,
super keen there.
yeah, in proper off season, like when you're chowing down 8 meals a day, sometimes I do get a little bit sick of eating. Yeah. But then I always know that come the diet, when you're starving, you're always going to remember that. So no, I do enjoy my food. To be honest, I don't struggle with that at all, which is lucky for me, because I know some people really do struggle with that side of things.
What about during prep? Do you still keep the treat meals in, or do you have refeeds? Or
Yeah, we do. In prep, we keep the treat meals in until about 2 weeks out, and then the last 2 weeks it is completely clean. But then, with my coach as well, obviously we're quite close, and it depends. If I've lost a bit, too much, or it's a leg day or something, we might throw an extra, cheat meal in every now and then. It just sort of depends how things are looking and if we're achieving what we want to achieve. But
just basically reading the way you look, basically, at any given time.
Yeah, yeah. I have to send him pictures and things every week, and we discuss sort of what's going on.
Just going back to, thinking about your running thing there, and obviously the transition into bodybuilding, quite a common trait across the line seems to be found recently is obsessive personality. Seems to be quite common. And would you agree with that?
Oh my God, absolutely, yes. To be honest, I think to be successful in any sport, particularly bodybuilding, you have to have an obsessive personality, because if you don't, you just wouldn't cope with what you have to put yourself through. Yeah, it's a matter of kind of sort of curbing it, and I guess as you get more experience, you get kind of better at it. Like when I first started, I would say I was way too obsessive, and I've kind of learned to integrate that with a bit of normality now, so it kind of it keeps you sane. But you've definitely got to have that bit of obsessiveness there to be successful. Yes.
Would you sort of along the same lines with your running, I take it, judging by that?
Yeah, to be honest, I was quite obsessive with my running as well. I always had sort of goals and times, and mine have always been very sort of goal driven and quite competitive. But yeah, I mean, it's worked, so.
You've obviously been competing for several years, but you've absolutely landed on the map this year. I think you'd have to agree there.
Oh my God, I am so over the moon with the results that I had this year. To be first at the Welsh, second at the British, and fourth at the Worlds in the space of 6 weeks, I was absolutely I was over the moon. Like, I wanted to win the Welsh, that was my goal, and then we said top 6 for the British and the Worlds, and to get second and fourth was I was really, really pleased. I've had some good feedback, slight improvements to be made, and
any particular area in particular, you would say yourself, you feel you need to improve on, or just
definitely my quads. My quads have always been, I think, because I used to run so much, I find my quads hard to build, to get any decent shape to. So we're on a big mission now for the next sort of 9 months to get some shape in my quads and to polish the posing a little bit more. I think when some of the girls are just incredibly graceful and good at posing, and others like myself, which is more like a baby elephant on stage. I think work on that, because the whole package obviously, makes a big difference when you're up there in front of that panel of judges.
Oh, very interesting. Well, all I can say is, again, thanks very much, for giving us some time. And we'll look forward to seeing the new, better improved Sarah Hallett for next year on the university age.
No worries. And absolutely, like I said, it's great to. It's nice to be able to promote female bodybuilding, to be honest, and I'll happily add sort of pics and progress things to the site along the way. So
fantastic! I'm sure you get a lot of good feedback there, because there's a lot of female competitors on the board. Some who maybe don't post and just read, and obviously there's other guys with journals, and obviously I'm sure you're inspiration to them for sure. So it's good to have somebody of your caliber there for a start.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, definitely. It's good to be involved from this end as well, because obviously it keeps me motivated as well. So, and I, love the fact that other girls are out there thinking, I want to do that as well. So, yeah, it's good.
Excellent. Thanks very much, and I'll speak again. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, ta-da, bye.
Well, mate, I just did some brief calculations there, and 350 gram of protein Sarah takes in.
That's a phenomenal amount.
We worked that out. It's 2.5 gram per pound of body weight. Sarah said she was 140, I believe, 210 stone on the stage.
140 on stage.
So just say roughly 2.5 gram of protein per pound. That works out for me, if I was to take that in, at 490 gram a day, and for you 515 during prep.
It's unbelievable. I mean, that'll fly in the face of what many people believe you should take in. Obviously we advocate kind of 1.8 gram, quite high protein intake anyway. But it just goes to show you, has it contributed to how good a condition she's turned up, because she's sporting some pretty top condition. The muscle belly is really popping. Obviously there's other factors in the training and whatnot,
of course,
but it's very interesting,
Yep, I mean, it does take on the stuff, and obviously, as you say, we kind of stick about 1.82 gram of cells, but other people you read saying you can go about 1.2 in prep. Personally, I don't really like that, but then again, I would also not go as high as 2.5. So
this is it. So it's like, who's to say is right again? Exactly. It's having the guts. That's ultimately what it is.
That's exactly what it is. It's having the guts to try something like that.
And that's clearly what's for her.
Yep. Another thing was the 2.5 to 3 hours cardio a day.
That just made me want to cry.
I mean, I complain if I have to go up to 45 minutes in the morning, but Sarah does like an hour a day on the off season.
Oh my god!
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I like looking at myself in the mirror, but if I had to stand in that treadmill, staring at the mirror at myself for 3 hours a day,
you just take pictures and post them in the forum, mate. That wouldn't be a problem. Talking though about the cardio, and even as well the off season, I was just thinking, listening to the interview, do you think that might hinder a leg growth in the off season?
I think there's certainly it could certainly be a factor, to be honest. Touching on the way she used to be a half marathon runner, there's a certain amounts of muscle fibres, you know what I'm trying to say, they're more dominating. Certainly, I don't know, again, it's all speculation, isn't it? It could be down to simply like genetics, or it could be maybe what type of cardio she's doing. She did say treadmill, she preferred the treadmill. It'd be interesting to maybe wonder what would happen if you change the type of cardio. Maybe a cross trainer bike, whatever, something a bit less impact.
A bit less, maybe even some skipping as well. Take a bit of impact off the legs. It could be something
kind of circuit work or whatever.
So we're not trying to take on Nathan Harmon, who
we're going to get hate mail for Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan's going to give us a bit of hate mail there, but that's just a bit of
Nathan, we're not trying to tread on your toes, mate. We're not.
Yep. So I really enjoyed that interview. It's also quite interesting to hear that she's taking the time off from this year's universe. She's just going to miss it. I
think that's quite a good move on her part, to be honest. She's properly landed in the map this year. She's leagues away from her old self, in the way that she looks. She's clearly found her niche there. When as she touched on, body fitness seemed kind of to hinder her. Basically, she wasn't achieving the look that she wanted to achieve. In trained figure, she can just let off the reins, train till her heart's content. Train the way she loves to. Obviously, she's carrying a good deal of size and whatnot, for that class. But as everybody knows, when you step up to the universe, these are it's another level again. These girls are all, mega framed, tons of muscle, condition. I think she would hold her own. I think she would absolutely hold her own if she was to go as is, But I think it's going to be pretty exciting to see what kind of package she takes to there next year. It's interesting, she set those goals. She wants to take to Britain, it's entirely feasible, So
one thing I noticed at the universe is we kind of spoken this before, is that some of the kind of biggest girls get marked down. But then the problem that you've got is that because you've got those big girls there, it can make some of the smaller girls look exceptionally small.
Yes.
So do you think that kind of £10 benchmark, assuming that's going to leave her at a good place in terms of the size range? Because you know what happens, you get too big, you get penalised; too small, you look shit.
Absolutely, because you do have some of the girls there in that class, say at the smaller end of the range, you could take them away, stand them on their own, they'll look outstanding. But as you say, you'll stand them next to some of the girls at the top end of the class, suddenly they look lacking. And it's not that they are, it's just that the sheer level of muscle some of these girls, the size of some of these girls' delts and their frame proportion to their waist and whatnot, it's going to be. I think it'll land her right just in a sweet spot.
I think so too.
She's got a pleasant shape about her as well, which is a huge factor in it. Obviously,
that little bit more muscle in the back area as well is one of those kind of bits that you really see it as what I was kind of alluding to with the smaller girls, as they tend to be a bit stringy about the back area, and then you get too big, all of a sudden, just bang, you just look massive. You get too much traps, you get too
borderline physique.
So it's very, very difficult to get that balance. So hopefully Sarah manages to kind of nail that. She was talking, well, you're both talking about the disparity in the classes and everything just not being clear, and that's something we've seen time and time again this year across both federations.
Absolutely, but I think the UKBFF are probably a bit more guilty of it, to be honest. I think even to the point, it'd be interesting, if we could maybe contact UKBFF ourselves, see if we can have some of these questions answered by a representative of it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It'd be interesting to hear, their viewpoint and where it's coming from. Is it going to change in the future anytime soon? A common opinion broadcast across the range is that maybe they should have some sort of photographic guide, so that they can't go wrong. Basically, you're looking for this level of condition, this amount of muscle, so it's a sort of, for lack of a better expression, idiot-proofing the judging on that. That way, the girls that are dieting for these shows, even the new girls on the scene, and the girls that have been there for years, they suddenly, that's it, concrete. They know what they're looking for. It's not training in the dark anymore. It's, here's what I want, that's how we get it. And that way, if they're getting marked down at shows, they can get their questions answered properly, rather than the opinion of maybe one judge who judges it one way and another judge who judges it another way.
And then you have a situation where you've got all these different regional winners, and they all come together to say the British finals or the Worlds,
and it's like a
they all look
jumble.
completely different. And they get to the point of the Worlds, and like Sarah says, two girls are pulled out of a class. Now they've already won a regional, they've already been to the British, and they're going to the Worlds, and then they're being shuffled around at that point,
which is just ridiculous.
It just shows you the level of disparity that is actually there. Because of
I saw a picture just yesterday of one of I don't know if it was an IFBB body fitness winner. The girl was incredible. The level of conditioning was akin to what NABA trained figure looked like, which is nothing like what body fitness in the UK is looking like. So something has to be addressed. There needs to be, a line needs to be drawn. You can't expect the girls from the UK to qualify to go into the likes of the IFBB Worlds and whatnot and compete against those girls. They look completely different. They're all supposed to be competing for the same class. So, let's hopefully see something get done about this in the near future, and it's going to put a lot of minds at ease, and hopefully see things go forward in a more positive light.
Well, next up we have Brian giving our local supplement shop a phone call because Brian was very, very angry that he got home and found that his son was taking steroid shakes.
It's quite a feat for a 4-year-old.
We'll let you hear the phone call and
the ensuing conversation.
Hello, I was wondering if you could help me. I'd actually like to make a complaint. My 17-year-old son came into your shop the other day and he bought one of your products. It's a USN anabolic muscle fuel.
Right.
At what point did it become legal to start selling steroid shakes?
Well, obviously it didn't. I can only think maybe they must have estimated his age without asking.
Well, as far as I was aware, selling steroid shakes was against the law. I mean,
that wouldn't actually be a steroid shake in spite of the name of it, sir. I think you would find if you check the products, there's certainly no steroids in it.
Well, why does it have the name anabolic muscle fuel? You know, as far as I was aware, that would lead me to believe.
Because anabolic's a term for hold on, I was getting muddled up with anaerobic there. I was going to say without oxygen, but that's anaerobic. I would need to check into it, exactly what the meaning of anabolic is, because off the top of my head I can't quite recall. Well, I can assure you there wouldn't be any steroids in it. We wouldn't be allowed to sell that item.
Well,
we've had people asking us about actual steroid tablets in here, and of course, it's not something we would do anyway.
Well, contrary to what you're saying, I mean, he's shown entirely different reactions. I mean, my son's 17, and the amount of acne that he has, and his aggression levels have been through the roof since he's been using this. I mean, my son's threatened to throw me about like an empty shell suit. Do you think that's normal behaviour for a 17-year-old boy? I'm his father.
No, certainly not. I mean, I don't know, obviously, all the details. I mean, whether he's on any other medication or whatever that might be counteracting with something in the product.
Well, I have to say, I'm disgusted. There's no other way to put this. I mean, the clothes bill. I mean, the boy's growing at an alarming rate. I can't find any other way to explain it. And apart from that broadband bill, it's through the roof. The amount of porn he suddenly started watching. Do you think this is acceptable behaviour?
No, obviously not, but it would be difficult for me to be able to fully accuse one item of changing your son in such an extent.
Well, it certainly seems inside the fortnight that he's been using the product, he's turned into, I can't even relate to him anymore. I mean, honestly, I've actually thought about getting in touch with the Olympic Committee to raise their awareness to see if athletes are becoming into your shop. Are they aware that they're buying steroid shakes from you?
Once again, sir, it can't be, there's no way it would be registered as a steroid shake. They wouldn't allow it to be sold.
Well, obviously,
the name anabolic being on it. But I know that's the only term most people have heard the term anabolic with is in association to steroids. But that's certainly not something that we as a company, provide. Or certainly promote.
The straw that brought the camel's back for me today was, I caught him touching the dog in an inappropriate manner. And that is just, I'm borderline about to throw him out the house for this. I mean, he's sitting here, he's saying to me that he believes it's probably because of that, but he doesn't want to stop because he wants to get as big as, The Rock and these wrestling stars. I mean, it's unbelievable. What kind of... I'm beside myself. I mean, honestly, you're not being very helpful with me. I'd like to get head office phone number off you if that's possible.
Let me have a wee bit. Hold on. The best thing I can do, phone number wise, would be to give you a customer service phone number, and they should be able to assist you further.
Customer service? So you're going to give an automated service? It's going to,
No, it is actually a person. It starts off automated, so you can find the right section that you need to go to, because obviously there are different elements all in Barrett for the consumer side of things. But once you actually get through it, is a human being on the end of the line.
So you're telling me there's an appropriate section for 17-year-old boys that touch dogs and grown like bulls?
No, but there would be
Is this common occurrence then? So you're actually telling me I'm not the only person to phone you up and complain about this if you have an appropriate section for that type of thing?
No, what I mean is...
This conversation's doing nothing but alarming me even further.
With respect, sir, what I actually meant was, if you have a specific problem regarding a product, and what it may be doing, with regards to your son's health or, well-being, as I say, there is certainly a section that can deal with customer complaints regarding the actual products. Would you like the number?
Yes, I'd like the number. Go ahead with the number.
Okay. The number is... And as I say, it does start off automated, but once you find the appropriate section, then, you will speak to a human being.
What do you suggest that I do in the meantime? I mean, is it going to be safe to just have them stop these things? Is there a post-protein therapy that he should be taking?
Not that I know of. I mean, the best advice I could offer you at the moment would be, rather than stopping it fully immediately, is to cut down what he's using. Would be the best way to get, to ease him off it.
I mean, the last thing
rather than stopping it altogether, in a sort of cold turkey manner.
I mean, the last kind of situation I want here is yet another Raoul Moat type of situation. I mean, disregarding the fact Sarah is actually ginger, so there's more than a passing resemblance, and the behaviour, I could always say, it's headed down that road. I mean, surely, the writing's on the wall as far as that's concerned.
Well, as I say, all I can suggest, I mean, as I say, somebody at customer service might be able to offer a bit further, advice in that respect. But I mean, certainly from myself, the best option I could think of, for the time being anyway, would be as much as possible to get him to cut down the level of what he's taking and, gradually to stop it.
So you reckon I should phone up customer service, tell them about my 17-year-old son with acne, incredibly aggressive behaviour, a sex drive like a rapist, and the potential of being a Raoul Moat type of danger situation, and they'll be able to help me out?
What I would suggest you tell them is that your son has started on a product and you've noticed quite a change in him, obviously, and to find out whether they can offer any sort of further help, as to what the best course of action to be taken is.
Okay. Right, okay, well, thanks very much.
Okay.
Right, thanks very much. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye now.
Well, trying to keep it together whilst Rab was lying in the TMuscle studio, aka Rab's living room floor, with a pillow over his face, shuddering with laughter, was quite the task.
I can tell you, mate, it was hilarious. And if anybody wants to join in a wee rampage against supplement stores, I mean, it's very, very easy. All you need to do is download an app called iPadio for the iPhone. I don't think there's an Android available.
No,
an Android app available, and you can do your own call. We would please ask that you don't be abusive. We don't want
don't issue death threats.
Don't issue death threats. And if you could send it to robert@testosteronemuscle.co.uk, or even just some ideas that you've got, and we can maybe do some more, because I believe Brian.
I think if we get enough feedback in this, we could maybe run a wee competition.
I think so.
A free tub of protein for whoever comes up with the most hilarious suggestion, or phone call themselves.
I think so. If we can get some good phone calls or some good suggestions, then I think there'll be a tub of protein. Maybe Simon could sort that out, I'm sure, for somebody, no problem.
Absolutely.
So mate, I hope your post-protein therapy goes alright. I really think you should just maybe cut it down in half at first. We don't want you going cold turkey.
Protein rage.
No, it could be bad. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed the show. Next episode, we are hopefully going to have Dorian Yates on it. We hope to have him this show, but unfortunately he's a busy guy and he's travelling back and forth to Spain.
Well, his moniker was a shadow. Now he's the elusive shadow.
The elusive shadow. So we've been in touch, so hopefully next episode we'll be able to bring you that interview with Dorian. We also hope to bring you an interview with one of the world's strongest men, and hopefully an interview with an IFBB figure girl. So hope you enjoyed the show again, and we hope to see you next episode. Cheerio.
Cheerio.